Right, Australia versus Belgium in the finals. This is not the preview of the final, that'll be tomorrow. This is the review of the semi-finals and what could have been for India. What could have been. I said in my preview for the semi-finals that if India somehow managed to ensure that Belgium's penalty corners were limited, if they managed to get an early goal or two and then counter attack, get a third one, maybe even a fourth, and yes, Belgium then could score, um, that India would be in with a good shot of qualifying for the final. However, though India did get two early goals, Belgium got one just earlier than that, and they just didn't manage to create much more than that. Belgium was deserved winners today. It has to be said, Belgium were deserved winners. The only thing that worries me slightly about Belgium is the amount of field goals that they score. It's not very many at all. The only one that they scored today is in the 60th minute with John Doman, where the game was already played, the game was already won, it was an open goal. Um, it is worrying that that was the only field goal that they managed to score. Because Australia and Germany today, as we saw in the fourth quarter, don't give up many penalty corners. Now, obviously, Belgium is very skilled at finding them, but it'll be an interesting final. But that's a discussion we'll have for the preview of the final. This is the review of the semi-final, as I've already said, and somehow Belgium manages to find these penalty corners. Now today, 14 penalty corners for Belgium, 14. India has been very good recently, especially defensively. We obviously cannot forget that 7-1 game against Australia, where Australia was just really good, India were just really bad that day. The day could have been completely different because India started out really well, and their coaching staff is very aware of Belgium's strengths. And up until the last quarter, really, the amount of penalty corners that India gave up was not very many at all. It was a very fair and equal game. 2-2 at halftime, 2-1 after the first quarter for India. Obviously, Hendricks had already scored from a set play, and so had Leupard. So yes, there were two goals from a set play that both came from a penalty corner. But India had done a good job otherwise at ensuring that defensively they were forming a block. They were solid. Belgium didn't get too much, and it just crumbled. We saw that against Great Britain in the second half, especially in the fourth quarter. Though India still managed to score, and though India did win the game, um, Great Britain is not the same team that Belgium is. Belgium is a completely different beast, and I thought India would have learned from that fourth quarter to perhaps get more goals early on, or to not invite the pressure on, because inviting the pressure on against a team like Belgium will result in goals. That is just inevitable. And they just couldn't do anything about it. They could not do anything about it. The structure went out of the window. The way India played was not inspiring in the fourth quarter. If you're anywhere on the pitch, if you see those players play like that, and you want to give your best, it's just not going to do anything. So why not just throw in the towel? That's what happened today. I feel like India threw the towel in the ring, and it's a shame because that could have been so much more. India could have scored a third quite easily. Um, they just invited too much pressure, and it came back to bite them. Now, that's in stark contrast to Australia versus Germany, where it really felt all game long like both teams were equally likely to make the final. No team was really especially dominant in this Australia versus Germany game. No team was especially bad. No team was especially good. Tim Brand obviously getting the goal very early on in the 7th minute with a beautiful deflection off a volleyed shot. I would not stand there where he stood. But somehow Ogilvy with volley, the half volley rather, Brand deflects it beautifully into the net, and Windfeder, sorry, reacts pretty much instantly 4 minutes later with a penalty corner, and that's it really for what Germany created. Yes, they did get a few more penalty corners. They did get a few other circle penetrations where it looked like they maybe could have done more. They maybe should have taken a shot more. They maybe should have looked for more penalty corners. Germany, didn't play a particularly good game. Australia didn't play a great game either, but that's the thing about Australia at this tournament, against Spain or just in general, even against New Zealand. Even when they don't play especially great games, they still manage to not lose. That's the same what they did against the Netherlands. They drew 2-2. The Netherlands arguably were the better team. They definitely created more. Sorry for the noise outside. It's just a helicopter flying over. But Australia versus the Netherlands, Australia weren't the better team and yet managed to make it through. Today, Australia versus Germany, yes, Australia was the better team, but they just weren't very good. They weren't very good in general. And you have to wonder, what if Australia plays a good game against Belgium? And Belgium does get the same amount of penalty corners as they do today. Who wins then? What if Australia plays a semi-good game, but Belgium doesn't get many penalty corners? What if anything could happen, because this Belgium team against Australia team in the final, if Australia manages to ensure that Belgium doesn't get many penalty corners, they've got a good chance at winning it. If Belgium ensures that Australia is pinned back in their own D, or that Australia doesn't get the opportunity to score early on, that's when Australia starts to panic, and then Belgium has a good chance. It'll be very interesting, but I'll discuss that in the video for tomorrow. This Australia versus Germany game, if we discuss it a little further, obviously the Blake Govers goal on the penalty corner will be important, showing that, and that's a sound contrast with Belgium against Australia. Australia is a field goal team. Belgium is a penalty corner team. But that penalty corner that Australia scored today could be very, very important, because yes, it's great scoring field goals. It's great for the confidence, especially with Sharp's goal, sealing the victory at 2-1. Yes, it was a tight game. Germany could have still scored a second goal, and then who knows what would have happened. But that penalty corners goal that Blake Gover scores will be important, because it shows Belgium that, yes, from the field, Australia's dangerous, but don't give up penalty corners either. Some teams who know that the penalty corners of their opponent is weaker will just give up penalty corners. Others will just avoid penalty corners and hope for field goals, or vice versa. It's a dangerous game to play, and having scored from open play and from the field very early on today, and Australia just looked like they coasted through the game, really. It'll be an interesting game in that final. It'll be a very tactical game. That's what I'm expecting. But it wasn't. This Australia versus Germany game. What else is there to say, really? Two teams that didn't play their best game. Germany will be left to wonder what could have been, because offensively, I'm sorry, but there was someone missing, and that someone, I think, was Malte Helvig. Yes, I know I'm a big fan of Malte Helvig, and I'm biased. And Chris Rowe and Florian Fuchs and Tim Hersbruck and Niklas Vellen are excellent players. They're all excellent players. But there was something missing, and that piece, in my opinion, was Malte Helvig. There just was someone who could score from the field. Malte Helvig wasn't there, wasn't selected. So yeah, we'll see what happens. This was it for this video. I'll do a preview tomorrow, as I've said. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the semi-finals. Commiserations to Indian and German fans, but you still have a bronze medal to play for, though, so do not just give up hope yet of a medal. Congratulations to Australians and Belgians. It'll be a very good game, but we'll discuss that tomorrow for the 5th or 6th time that I've said that today. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video. Again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.